Guys, we have a big banger of a video for you today because we have a clip, a 5-minute video, 5-ish minute video that has been going majorly viral within dating, relationships, and marriage because a lot of people have been applauding and a lot of people have been criticizing this woman for posting a video, why I considered divorcing my husband. We're going to react to this together for today, and then we're going to take a look at what the internet had to say about it because people were jumping on this like crazy. At the time of recording this video, this has 112.5 million views just on this one particular tweet. I've seen this on TikTok, Reddit, X. This has been going everywhere, so I'm excited to talk about that with you today. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. So we will react to the clip together for you, and then we will take a look at what everybody else said. I'm going to give my thoughts throughout the video. Of course, we have to abide by fair use guidelines, so I do have to pause throughout to give my commentary. I watched this already, but I don't remember exactly all the details, so you're kind of getting an authentic reaction from me. Regardless, let's get into it.
My husband for almost 20 years, I've been with my husband for almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago, I was strongly considering divorce, and I want to talk to you about why. So I'm going to tell you the story of the day where I thought to myself, maybe I don't want to do this anymore.
Now, supposedly, and I don't know anything about this person. She is a page turner. I'm not familiar with who she is as a TikToker. Supposedly, they are now divorced, this woman and her husband.
My husband and I had 4 kids. We both worked full time. We had been together for 16 years at this point. We've been together since high school. And on paper, I have an amazing husband. He is incredibly supportive. He's kind. He's loyal. He's a great dad. He's very hands-on. He's an active participant. He's always present.
If you're talking about on paper and just mentioned all of those things, sounds like you pretty well got it made, to be honest with you, but watch what she gets into. But again, we'll talk about it. And before, if you happen to be a woman watching this video, this is not one of those channels where we look at this and I go, oh my God, what's this woman complaining about? You know, we're not one of those channels over here. We like to think critically. For example, I am a big supporter of the female ick, which a lot of people are not, but I just want to trust me on this, okay?
On paper, what else could I ask for? But in reality, my experience is very similar to the experience of other women.
It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like you have a perfect husband.
I had this amazing husband who on paper was great, but I was incredibly frustrated and burnt out from our marriage and from motherhood. Because what happens to so many of us is that we marry these amazing men and we have amazing relationships and then we have kids. And when we have kids, women tend to carry a disproportionate amount of the work in the home.
As she was just talking about being very hands-on, helping around. I don't remember exactly the terms that she used, but it sounds like the husband does quite a bit. But she is right. Like, when kids are around, and this is coming from a new parent. My daughter actually tomorrow is turning 1 year old. My wife does more with the baby, but I am present every single little bit. Like, if she ever needs anything or anything like that. So, but it's kind of natural, and it's kind of like, I don't want to say, yeah, you know what? It is kind of how it's supposed to work because one of the reasons why she finds herself doing a little bit more than me is because, and I don't know how long babies feel like this, if it's different for every child, probably is, but to some extent, the baby still kind of thinks that they're attached to their mom. So throughout the year, I have been in situations, and now like my daughter is completely comfortable with me, but especially like the first few months, there was nothing I personally could do to like soothe the baby if she was very upset. And as soon as you get into mom's arms, she falls asleep, and then my wife ends up having more work. But then if I notice that my wife is paying more attention to the baby, if she is doing way more of the baby than I am, I would make sure that I'm picking up around the house. Like, I would take care of the dishes. I would take care of the bottles, things like that. It's important to make a balance, but it is very difficult on a lot of women. That's true.
The work of raising kids and the mental load. And that is exactly what happened to us. About 3 months after my 4th baby.
Hang on. She said us. She said us. And I highly doubt that was for the husband. The husband probably is totally... Depending on how much if she's complaining to the world about him, I imagine she's complaining a lot at home. I would imagine, you know, if she is looking for attention, bashing her husband online, I would imagine that she is difficult to deal with at home. But I don't imagine the husband was burnt out of the relationship. That usually doesn't happen for men.
Was born. I remember looking at my husband and saying, I need more. I need you to do more. I am exhausted. I am in charge of everyone and everything.
Okay, hang on.
In this house.
So I'm at 1 minute 15. What did she say about her husband at the beginning of the video?
Where I thought to myself,
let's see.
We had been together for 16 years.
It's about now.
We've been together since high school. And on paper, I have an amazing husband. He is incredibly supportive. He's kind. He's loyal. He's a great dad. He's very hands-on. He's an active participant.
He's an active participant.
He's always present. Like, on paper, what else could I ask for?
It's not necessarily adding up to what she's saying at the moment, and we were about 1 minute and 15 seconds in. So I wanted to just remember how she described her husband.
We cook dinner, you ask me what to make. Every day, when you drop off the kids at daycare, you ask me what they need in their backpacks.
Hang on, the kids are going to daycare, and you're overworked? I get why she's receiving the reaction that she's receiving.
I am the project manager of this home and I need you to do more. And he looked at me and he said, okay, just tell me what to do. Right? Every woman has heard this. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I said, okay, something that would make my life easier is if in the mornings when I came downstairs with the 4 kids, because I do mornings by myself, the dishwasher was emptied, the dishes were put away, and the trash was taken out.
And that's fair. That's fair. And I know she was just talking about, and I'm sure that he has, and she gets into it, I think, but I don't recall. Like, again, I watched the video, and I don't remember all the little details. The husband works, too. The husband has a difficult job, but it's not coming to me exactly what it was. But regardless, like, that's fair to ask. Like, emptying the dishwasher, taking out the trash, that's fine. Like, what does it take you? Like, 10 minutes? That's fair to ask of a husband.
It would make my life so much easier because when I've got the 4 kids running around and the baby crying, I can't be looking for their favorite water bottle in the dishwasher. I just need to know it's clean. And he said, yeah, of course. What? Yeah, I'll do that. That's no problem. And so, of course, he does it. But then I have to remind him, and then he forgets, and then I have to remind him again. And there was this one morning where I woke up.
Okay, but really quick. It's unacceptable for him to forget. Absolutely unacceptable, especially if you give your word. If you tell your wife you're going to do something, then you do it. And I know a lot of men are going to comment down below, and this is something that you've seen in a lot of comments of this video where it's like, oh, we're focused on more important stuff. We're tired after the workday. I disagree with that. You tell your wife that you're going to take the trash out and do the dishes, or excuse me, empty the dishwasher, you do it. I don't care how tired you are. That is ridiculous to like rebut with anything. Like, are you thinking about more important things? Yeah, but that becomes important because your word is very important.
And I went to put something in the trash and it was overflowing. And
It's also important to note, though, it's acceptable to have that slip your mind every once in a while. Not like, hey, divorce. It happens. People forget things.
Get my son's water bottle and it was in the dishwasher with all the other clean dishes. And I felt so disrespected and unseen and unvalued at that point in time. And I remember texting my husband being like, what happened? Like, why didn't you do this? And he said, sorry, I was running late for work. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he doesn't see me. Because what he's done has now made me late for work. And he doesn't care about that.
Okay, the trash and the dishwasher can wait. If you're late for work, that can wait. You can do it when you're done. Okay, but you know what? It happens. If the husband's running late for work, it happens. To be honest, it's an acceptable excuse, but it has to happen like every once in a while. Maybe it slips your mind. You should be on the ball every day doing so. That's what I was talking about. Like, it's unacceptable for him to not do that. It's acceptable to forget here and there to some extent, but just like divorce, to blow it out of proportion and be like, my time is so disrespected in this moment. You want to talk about disrespect? You're putting your husband on blast for the entire internet for forgetting to empty the dishwasher and take out the trash.
He doesn't care about the impact on me, and he doesn't see how every single thing in our home happens because I ask him to do it, or because I do it myself, or because I planned and organized it.
I don't know about that. That's a little difficult to believe. Is she cutting the grass? Is she taking care of any home maintenance? If there's a window that needs fixing or something like that, is she taking care of it? I highly, highly doubt that, but maybe she mentions it.
The diaper bag is full because I filled it, right? I put the wipes in there. And I felt so frustrated. And I remember thinking, what's the point? What's the point of doing this with someone else? I might as well just do it alone. And it's not because my husband didn't love me or he did anything to me. And it's not because I didn't love him, but because I felt so taken advantage of in our relationship. And this...
On paper, my husband's perfect. He's this, that, hands-on, helpful, supportive. Well, I can't remember again the exact words that she was saying. And one time he forgets to do this and she's freaking out about it. I believe there is a clear right and wrong with this. Either that or there's more to the story when we're talking about divorce, but it's insane. But this is also the problem when you, and I would imagine that if she's posting this online, she posts similar things, but hey, you know what? I'm open to be proven wrong about that. But when you start posting your relationships online for the world to see, you'll have all these girls like, yeah, girl, you leave him, that loser. And then that like slides into your subconscious after hearing it over and over again. Then all of a sudden you're dating a loser.
Dynamic It doesn't happen by accident, right? It's not like my husband did it to me, but we've been raised in this society that tells men and women who they should be in marriages and what it looks like to be a good mom versus a good dad. And we know the bar for moms is way up here and the bar for dads is way down here.
I don't know what to say to that. That's probably the most inaccurate thing I've ever heard in my life. You want to talk about the bar? Your husband is being put on blast because he forgot to empty a dishwasher. You want to talk about the bar? There are husbands that have to deal with violent women because of it. And they can't retaliate. I'm not saying it's okay to retaliate, but you know what I mean? Like, there are someone... You want to talk... I will not entertain any conversation about the bar when we talk about either boyfriend or husbands. That's in it, like, past space, man. That bar, especially in 2025, it's past space. The bar for women couldn't get lower. That's ridiculous.
And we fell into these norms. We fell into these roles in our family despite the fact that we never wanted to. And I'm lucky, and I say lucky because I have a partner who I know loves me and wants me to be happy and was willing and able to change. And so we did the work to figure out what equity looked like in our relationship. And I can tell you now, 3 years later, that we are happier than ever. Our kids—
Now, and I mentioned at the beginning, according to social media, they are divorced. I don't know who either of these people are.
Are thriving. Our home runs like a well-oiled machine. And that took a lot of work. I want to say it took like 18 months to get there.
How's that possible? You know what I do with my wife if we have an issue? We talk about it. I am so thankful, man. I have the best wife in the entire world. If there's an issue, she actually communicates with me, which is such a huge problem. She doesn't put me on blast for the entire internet. There's been times like where, you know, she was doing a little too much with the baby and things like that. And she's like, it would mean a lot to me if you could help me out with blank. And then I help her out with blank and vice versa. You know, it's that simple. It really, really is. Why is something like that take 18 months? It should be an overnight shift, 18 months. What is it with this girl? Problem after problem after problem after problem? I would imagine so.
And it was well worth it. But it is not uncommon. And so if your wife is coming to you and she's saying, I'm burnt out by the mental load and I need you to do more, she's not just saying that because she wants you to do more chores. She's saying that because truly it can hurt your relationship. It can ruin your marriage if you do not participate in an equitable way in your home. And so what does that look like?
And I agree with that. But the problem is, it sounds like he is participating. It sounds like he's doing a good job.
What does it look like to change these dynamics? Well, we need to really assess in our homes what the work looks like.
Because you know what I love about this? You know what I will never understand about these videos, guys? Is she felt so good posting this. Like, you can tell, like, you know, like, we all know, like, if you're a guy watching this video, what type of girl this is and what it would be like to be married to one. You know, she's talking down to everybody like they're, like, you know, like the kindergarten voice that they get. She's not quite to that level, but kind of there. She's kind of up there, like, talking to people like she's a kindergarten teacher. And I can't believe people post these videos thinking like they're so intelligent. You know, I've got marriage figured out. Here's a lesson everybody needs to look out for. It's just crazy to me. I can't stand this world, guys.
Because in most homes, the data supports this, women do a disproportionate amount of the work. They just do. They do more of the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry and the childcare while also working full time. And
but that's also a problem. That became a problem because women are now, you know, we live in a world, and it's not, we're not going to get into the conversation, but like, it's not necessarily a lot of women's fault that they feel, I don't want to say burnt out, because you shouldn't, honestly guys, you shouldn't feel burnt out of your husband because like you're doing a lot of work. You shouldn't feel that way. But to be like stressed out, to have a huge mental load on you, that's because women now have to work and take care of the babies. The husbands have to be active participants, and it seems like that guy is a very active participant. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Men have more time for things like their hobbies, like golf, for example, or just working out, running a marathon.
How many guys do you know that are actually like really, really involved in their hobbies? How many guys do you know that have just been like captured from your life once they ended up getting a girl? That's not accurate. Like what? Maybe once a month they have a golf trip. You know, if you're lucky, you have a golf trip every week. How many guys do you know realistically that have their wives okay with being like a golfer and like going out and drinking with your friends, things like that? That doesn't really exist too much anymore because everybody is like, oh, happy wife, happy life. You know, How many girls do you know in your life that would actually be okay with like their husbands just going out having a good time because like it'll just end up being a battle because somebody else is fighting for their attention, man.
Right? And so we need to have hard conversations about what our time looks like.
And I'm sorry, something I also forgot to mention is, again, what about the rest of the work? What about the housework? What about the more difficult work? He also seemingly works full time. I can't remember his job. It was something difficult. It was something dangerous. I don't remember what it was. But it sounds like, and she's admitting to it being on paper. On paper, he's a great husband. Stop there. Everything's great.
What our labor in the home looks like. What is invisible labor? We have to talk about these things. And when we don't, the alternative is that you no longer have a marriage. Or you don't have a happy one, at least.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You owe it to your 4 children to make it up to your husband. You owe it to your 4 children. And I've had a little bit of pushback on my take on divorce, guys. There are times where divorce is obviously acceptable. Things like abuse, things like that. Obviously, right? But if it's something like this, there is no reason to get divorced, and you do not do that to your children. You do not leave your kids with a broken home and the mental load for that forever.
And so I share this story because I don't think I'm alone in this experience, and I want people to know that there's hope, and that if you have a willing and able partner, you can change this. You can absolutely change this dynamic.
That was a whole video. Like, I truthfully, I like to make these videos, and if you have been following this channel, you would know, and we're going to get into the internet reactions to this because there's a lot of them, guys. You have to believe me if you are a new viewer to this channel. If you really don't believe me, go look at my other videos. This is not like a hate women in relationships video, but it's very, very difficult to agree with this woman in this video because, like, a lot of guys just know the type. You know, you can just know the type. The condescending thinks she was very, very intelligent saying what she says. I can't believe she was openly criticizing her husband to the entire world. Could you imagine if the shoe was on the other foot? Honestly, she'd go nuts. She would go nuts. This lady was actually considering divorce, and now that supposedly they are divorced because one morning, he was running late for work. He didn't take the garbage out, and he didn't empty the dishwasher. Things that could absolutely wait. And here's another thing. You absolutely just know that there's more to the story. Especially with videos like this, man, and people like this. You know that there's more to the story. So she's a perfect wife. She's the perfect wife. Come on. A lot of high IQ guys maybe watching this video know exactly the issues that this person might be dealing with. But of course, it's not just about what I think about this video. I wanted to take a look at the reactions to the internet, and unfortunately, most of the comments were negative towards her. She got a lot of likes, she got a lot of retweets, but the problem is more of the negativity is going to be with the comments. So I don't know what we're going to be taking a look at here. We have the top replies from the video. We're going to be taking a look at that today, guys. By the way, if you're enjoying the video, please hit like, subscribe. Thank you so much for being here. Your time is very valuable, and I appreciate you spending it over on this video. So let's get into some of the top comments over here. I understand the frustration. I feel similar things too, even though I'm the male. But the moment she took this to social media, she's the problem. I agree that. Like, what do you mean this is meant to be a cautionary tale? A cautionary tale of what? she's I don't know what to say to that. Oh, the big cautionary tale of the time my husband didn't take out the trash. Guys, the cautionary tale should be dating people like that. That should be the takeaway from all of this. You should never take your problems to social media. You should never take your problems to all of your friends. I was about to say the vast majority of friends. No, you talk about it and you communicate. That's what you're supposed to do as a husband and a wife, man. Translation for the sane and functional. A woman's love language is you developing psychic powers. You know what? That actually is the love language. How many times have you dealt with women and they lack communication skills? And I don't want to hear down below in the comment section, guys. There is a clear issue with communication when women in relationships. That is accurate, and a lot of them really do expect you to read their minds. To be fair to this girl, and I would imagine that there are many more problems than she actually presented in this video. She gave the husband clear instructions on what would make her happy. The only thing is, I don't imagine, even if he did empty the dishwasher and take out the trash, I don't imagine that this type would ever be happy. Let's continue on to, okay, a bigger response over here. What she's saying is common, and she's not wrong. Women do bear a disproportionate amount of childcare and housework, and when both parents have jobs, this inevitably creates resentment towards the dads who tend to be less proactive towards these tasks. It's a good sense to communicate and develop a clear division of labor. I completely agree with that. What isn't mentioned, however, is that a large part of the problem is also the perfectionistic and neurotic tendency of moms who can't relax or let things go. Or, excuse me, let go. That's a good point, actually. That's a very good point. Dads routinely end up on the receiving end of demands that aren't in fact necessary, especially in the moment, but become relationship threatening neglect because the mom's own expectations and anxiety turn them into a referenda on how he feels about her. That's actually really, really accurate as well, man. That's really accurate. Very, very. I'm glad that we're taking a look at a longer one over here. I was a little bit hesitant on like getting into somebody's essay here. I know it's not an essay, but you get my point. But so far, so good. Take the example of the trash. Her man was running late for work and didn't take it out. She says that wasn't a good excuse because him not doing this made her late for work. But that's actually not the case. She could have left it. That's what I was saying. The overflowing trash was gross, but it wasn't going to do anything for a few more hours. It wasn't her responsibility anyway, and there's no doubt he would have dealt with it when he got home when he saw it. And odds are the shame of the mess would mean he'd take care of it sooner in the future. He'd know if he didn't do it. No one would. It would be all on him. This approach may sound frustrating to women, but if you want your man to do things, you need to learn to leave him space to do them, even if he's taking longer to do them or does them differently than you'd like. You cannot nag and emasculate a man and then feel upset when he inevitably distances himself from you and avoids a task. You cannot ask for a man to lead and then continually question his leadership. The fact that many women do not understand this is proof of how many well-meaning women don't know how to be feminine. We also have a majorly issue with femininity now. It's very difficult to find in a lot of wives. I really, really like what he had to say over here. You cannot nag and emasculate a man and then feel upset when he inevitably distances himself from you and avoids the task. No matter what, I think that you should suck it up if you're a dad. You have a responsibility and you gave your word that you would take out that trash. So avoiding the task altogether is ridiculous. So let's get rid of that and just make it this. Because that's probably what happened, to be honest with you. And we live in a time now where a lot of guys, and I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying the solution is to, get violent or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. So please don't take what I'm saying in that direction. But a lot of men, and excuse me if my video just lagged over there, a lot of men nowadays have to just take it, being nagged, being emasculated, because we don't live in a male-dominant society anymore to some extent. I'm talking about in the homes you also wonder why this girl kind of wants a divorce. She's probably running things, Look, she's right. However, their issue, assuming he isn't a child, was communication. They need a more clear division of responsibility to receive the mental load. I'm in charge of the family meal plan. My wife provides almost zero input and it frees her mind. It's simple. Yeah, there are tasks that my wife and I both have. Like, my wife does the dishes, I do the bottles. That is a routine that we typically have. My baby bottle needs to be washed on the counter. I'll take care of that. If there's dishes, my wife takes care of it. It's just an example, but I'm not going to be put in a place where I expect my wife to do all of the work and something that I do take care of. Is there any I take care of the garage and things like that. Obviously, I take care of anything that needs to be done outside. But we don't have exactly. I'm not going to get into describing my property, but you know what I mean. I take care of outside work. Okay, they're just roles, and if somebody has an issue, communication is absolutely what's necessary. And I think it's very important for women to realize that, because I would go as far as say that 99% of girls out there have a major communication problem, and that is one of the biggest complaints from men in society today. Uncharted Father had this to say: a man's love language is having. God, come on. Girls have the mind reading, guys have the balls. Two things that are a little ridiculous, okay? The funniest part of this is when she gives a long list of objective facts about her husband's actions in the real world, which she refers to as on paper in contrast with in reality, which by means in her feelings. That's so true. That's so true. Yeah. It didn't sound like he was disrespecting you, but it doesn't matter. She felt like she was feeling disrespected. Feelings trump reality. It's always how it works with girls, right? It's incredibly insane how all women understand what she's talking about, but men seem to just not get it. The male brain is interesting. The male brain thinks critically. The male brain thinks logically. And yes, I'm not saying that women don't think critically and logically, but that whole video was thinking with their feelings. The women's love language is not having to ask at the top. So the women's love language is reading minds. I get that all of the girls understand what she's saying, but the guys are completely correct in this scenario. There is no world besides the fact that It's unacceptable unless it's like that one time where he forgets. It's unacceptable for a man and a husband to not do what he told his wife was going to do. But divorce over that? Every other little aspect of that video was completely incorrect in her area. Incorrect, objectively. A 5-minute video of her ranting about how overworked she is. Maybe spend less time looking for attention online and more time focused on your family. I was worn out listening to 30 seconds of this. I can't imagine how worn out your husband must be. Yeah, if she's online yapping to the world about those problems, could you imagine what's going on in his ear? Could you just imagine? Dude, I can't believe that they actually stayed together for 18 months. I was about to say they stayed for 18 months after this. I don't know how long it was, but she said 18 months to fix the relationship, but now she's posting the video, so we don't know how long they ended up staying together. But like, man, I wouldn't actually do it, but I'd want to like blow my brains out. Like, your woman has an issue with you, so she blasts you online. Hundreds of millions of views or whatever the number was. Oh my god, dude, the disrespect. Guy would never do that to her. That guy from HS had this to say: a woman will post an absolutely insane story about almost divorcing her husband and destroying the lives of their kids because a man can't read her mind, and the other woman will unironically be like, brilliant. Are you all just trying to sabotage each other, or are all of this completely insane? Yeah, a woman's love language is not having to ask. guys, like, I know that I'm sorry. I don't want to be one of those channels. This particular video, yeah, we're signed with the men on this one, guys. If you happen to be a woman watching this video and you stayed true to this, that's what it is. It's asking people, not having to ask. It's reading your mind. It's reading your mind. It's one thing if you were to say, hey, it would make me happy to take out the trash, and then, like, you don't have to ask from that point to specifically take out the trash. But then that turns into, well, by trash, I meant dishes, and I meant that you need to mop the floor, things like that. That's what it ends up breaking down into. But I know, I completely agree with that. It killed me as the other one will be, like, brilliant. Unironically, too. And I do believe that... I do not believe. I would never in a million years suggest such a thing. But oftentimes women actively try to destroy each other in relationships. They don't like to see, another member of their group being happy. The complete opposite of guys. Some people would suggest that. I would never personally suggest such a thing. There's also a group of women that would, like he said, unironically just go, brilliant. Like, there's so many people that watched that video and the takeaway was brilliant. Oh, could you imagine? Oh, every comment I've seen misses something. Guys don't think about this stuff simply because it's not as important to them as it is to women. Excuse me if you can hear my notification over there, guys. Men and women care about different things. Men are big picture, women are details. Everyone's going to be fine if you forget to take out the trash or if the kid doesn't have a water bottle. Trash and dishes can be done later. If the kid wants his water bottle so bad he'll start remembering it to himself, etc., nobody is going to die. Women sweat this stuff like no tomorrow, and to us, it's neurotic and not far off self-harm from a stress point of view. That's a little accurate, to be honest with you. In many cultures, this behavior is pushed back on more heavily, and we balance out. But our Western empathy weakens us to the point of being overruled by it. This is very, very accurate. I still think we're closer to the way that it should be, but women aren't just a victim of this. They're a perpetrator of the standard of this in the first place, both in the home and on a societal level. I thought that was very well said, but I get that men are big picture, women are details. I get that, but it doesn't make it acceptable to, like, not take out the trash when you said you would to your wife. Again, to forget every once in a while, that's one thing. But if you're just not going to do that because, like, you're thinking of, like, the bigger picture of the day, yeah, you know what, you might be doing that. But don't forget the word that you did give to your wife. Let's continue on to the next comment. Greg Scott. She felt disrespected when her husband forgot to take out the garbage. How should he feel about her posting this video? It was probably necessary and completely accurate for her. Like, I can't imagine the cautionary tale. I was just trying to warn other women. Of what? Yeah. It is the ultimate disrespect, and I feel so bad for her husband. I'll add a take on this. Many wives will rarely, if ever, give the husband positive affirmation for the things he does in their relationship. You can work 65 plus hours a week from building wealth for your family, and the feedback you get is, you're not home enough. Life is always hard in a relationship for both people from their perspective, and that said, the average man, me included, can do more at home. One of the differences is men will rarely complain about it on TikTok. Instead, men drink, do drugs, cheat, or kill themselves. When you put it that way, I wonder who actually has a harder mental load. I will die on this hill, guys. I'll die on this hill. Men have a stronger mental load than women. But men can also handle a bigger mental load. Because, like, how there's a famous quote, but I don't remember exactly how it goes. It's something like, most men live lives of quiet desperation with a smile on their face. If anybody knows exactly what quote I'm talking about, I would appreciate it if you could put it in the comments down below. I would like to remember that as well, but that's completely accurate. I would imagine that in most people in their relationships, there are a lot of issues that men deal with that they just know there's absolutely no point in bringing up. So the things, take a toll on you. Men drink, they do drugs, cheat, or kill themselves. That's not excusable and not acceptable. You should be a man and you should get over those things, but he's accurate. How many people do you know just are completely like lost in their relationship? They're working so hard and they're not home enough, things like that. No matter what they do, they can never make their wife happy. They try to live by happy wife, happy life, but they just get beat up more and more and more and more. And then they end up with a ball and chains type relationship. That's the reality for a lot of men. And I will die on that hill that men have to take a harder mental load. We can dive exactly deep into that one day, but that's completely accurate. But we can also handle a little bit more, I saw TikTok a little while ago, and I have the perfect relationship, guys. I love my wife with all of my heart, and she is an amazing mom. She's an amazing wife. She does everything that I ask, and I can never possibly ask for somebody better. She is my best friend. I'm not relating my own situation to this. I'm very fortunate. I'm lucky. Been with my wife since we were kids. I lucked out in this department, okay? I lucked out big time. But anyways, back to that TikTok that I was talking about, because I can relate to it just a little bit. And my wife is not the type of wife who nags and nags and nags and nags. But my wife does express, how difficult and how mentally tolling it is to take care of a kid all day. And I saw TikTok, and you guys might have seen it as well, because that one also ended up going viral, where it's how do we tell our wives that watching the kids is actually the easiest thing ever? I kind of feel that way. Another hill that I'll die on is it's more difficult to raise a dog than it is a newborn baby. I know that can change as time goes on. My baby is so much more work now that she's 1 year old. She's so much more work, but I'm talking about brand new out of the gate. A puppy is way worse. And I have this conversation with my wife all the time. She tells me I'm nuts, but I'm not nuts. I just did the most work with the dog. Okay. But I know what they're both like, but it is easy. And then I know I'm going to get some comments about it, something along the lines of well, you know what, it's just because the mom just has to deal with it because the babies feel comfortable to express themselves and cry and be needy and all that. No. Dads are just better at handling, bad behavior and things like that. But crap, I forget why I brought that up now. Sorry guys, I'm just yapping. I hope you're enjoying the video. I actually had to talk to my mom about it, because I'm not going to talk to my wife about it, because while I wouldn't mean it to be insulting, I can understand why she would take it to be insulting. I feel like that I'd be really knocking her for having a mental load for watching the kid all day. I when she was off, whenever I went to work all day, she'd be visibly exhausted by the time I get home. And I just wouldn't relate. I just know that I wouldn't personally be physically exhausted. But again, I can handle more than my wife. And I would imagine that most men can handle a little bit more. Regardless, I actually had to talk to my mom about it, because it was were you like this with my dad? Were you a beyond exhausted whenever he got home from work? And she's like, little bit. So I'm oh, maybe that's just an experience it's common for marriages. I don't know, but yeah, it's, I'm sorry. I forget why I even brought that up, the TikTok, but it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm sorry that I was taking that somewhere, and I hope this video is still keeping your attention now, but let's continue on to the rest of the replies. Did she really say, when he makes dinner, he asks me what to make? When he drops off the kids at daycare, he asks me what to pack? I'm a project manager. He just wants you to feel like your opinion matters, but he is doing everything. I don't even know if that's the case, which it very, very well could be, to be honest with you, but I would imagine, especially with this type that he's in, and guys, I'm sorry again with my notification over there, but I would imagine if this is the type of relationship he's in with this particular type of girl, I would imagine the reason that he asks is so he doesn't have to hear something like, "What you pack the carrots for? She's supposed to eat corn today," or whatever it is, I would imagine with this type of girl, that's the stuff that the husband hears. But again, she's the whole video is very it was just a big contradiction, man. The problem is a lot of women will complain about having you the project manager at home, which is understandable, but turn around and expect everything to be done exactly how she wants. If you don't want to micromanage, then you don't need to accept things done. Then you need to accept things done differently. Excuse me. If you can't, then you need to have the accept to manage everything. That's a good point. That's a very fair point. I have nothing to add to that one. I agree with that. Let's continue on to what Sashi had to say. Women do not carry more of the work or the mental load. We inflict more work and mental load onto ourselves, and then get angry when others don't do the same. Wow. Oof. Oof. There's no fight in that one. It is insane to be angry at someone else in our lives because they don't prioritize the way we think they should. Oh my God. That's a very, very interesting take, and it's accurate, man. It's accurate. We inflict more work and mental load onto ourselves and then get angry when others don't do the same. I never considered that, but that's completely accurate. Huh. We're learning something today, guys. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to remember that moving forward, and I'm definitely going to be bringing that up, okay? Google her handle. She's very easy to find. Her WFH job is simply being an influencer. Oh, no. Are you kidding me? Oh, no. She's been busted promoting payday loan scams and openly encourages her followers to take on debt to live the lifestyle. She's a former adult online entertainer. She also had a full-time housekeeper, a full-time landscaper, a pool boy, and a live-in nanny. So the whole screed about chores and kids is pure baloney. Meanwhile, her husband is a lineman. Oh, that's what it was. It was a lineman. It was a lineman. That's what it was. Yeah. You gotta respect that. You're giving your husband a hard time for coming home and not taking out the trash, and he's going to work for 60 hours a week as a lineman? Insane. Insane. She's a grifter, plain and simple. I would imagine that Chesty isn't lying about this. We did grab the top replies over here. Yeah, this has 4 million views over here. I would imagine a lot of people are agreeing with this. I would imagine that he's telling the truth. That this, again, because again, he just said Google her handle. She's very easy to find. I'm going to take this at face value. I'm going to assume that it's true. Former adult online entertainer explains a lot of the mental issues. Completely. You could have started with that, and then I could have predicted to you exactly what the video was going to sound like. Let's keep going, though. The bottle was in the dishwasher with the other clean dishes, so it was clean. How did getting it from the dishwasher make you later on getting it from the cupboard? Trash can wait. She seems like a poor project manager if these delayed her. Kind of true with that one. I have a feeling that the husband is focused on what needs to get done in order for the family to be taken care of, whereas she's focused on what needs to get done so that she can look like the perfect mom. Also, why do women consistently believe it's exclusively a man's task to take out the garbage? That if the trash can is overflowing, tie off the bag and take it out. That's why I have the perfect girl. My wife and I equally take out the trash. And I don't understand why people can't live like that. Every time I look at a video like this, I am so thankful to have my wife. I am so thankful. If both of us walk by and the garbage is full, if we're separately, we will take the garbage out. That's how it should be. It doesn't matter who had a more difficult day. I don't understand how people walk through life like being married to people like this, man. I don't understand. You need to find the perfect partner. And I know there's also a lot of conversation where it's like, every time something like this comes up, a lot of guys are like, this is why we need to go our own way. This is why I just never get married. Guys like, no, perfect girls exist. You just need to find them. And it's a lot more difficult to find them. Again, it doesn't matter to me, though. I have a feeling the husband is focused on what needs to get done in order for the family to be taken care of. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He should be taking out the trash, especially once he gave his word that he would take out the trash. Hi, husband here. I do all my duties and then some. Cook every night, clean daily, do all the morning duties. Guess what? There's always something more that the hubby just doesn't do. Ladies, stop blaming your husbands. Start realizing the issue is perhaps the fact that we're never enough. Don't believe me? Go out there and find another one, and we'll watch you complaining about him in a couple of years. Yeah, and the problem is, too, especially if you're posting these videos online talking about your relationship, if you have a circle of a group of friends that are talking about this, how many times have you seen or been around women complaining about their husbands, and then it's just one after the other, after the other, after the other. They're just like, breaking down and picking apart their husbands, and all of a sudden, surprise, they're not happy in their relationship anymore. A lot of people also live this life. There's always something more that the hubby just doesn't do. There's something that is never enough, never done. Like, you can never make anybody like this happy. It's an impossible task. He could have taken out the garbage in the dishwasher, and it would have been something else that she posted a video about. The tell in this video is that she not once mentioned or even alluded to her having ever done one thing wrong in the marriage. I promise you her husband notices and remembers that. They're headed for divorce. With all 4 kids, it will come late, but it's coming. And supposedly, they are divorced now. It's so true. Yeah, she's the perfect wife, too. She's like the perfect project manager, the perfect wife. She's never done anything wrong. Anything. It's crazy. I have a feeling that, like, you know what, the husband, you never know. We don't know anything about this husband. He could be a bad husband, but if she's admitting to like all the stuff that he is doing, I would be shocked to learn that he was any sort of problem in the relationship. The bar for dads is way down here. Tell me you don't understand the first thing about a man's life and responsibilities. That's where I was at. It's so wildly ignorant and inaccurate to the point where, like, I don't even know where to begin. I could go on for hours about, like, the expectations of society and relationships with men. Let me sum it up in one example. It's 3 a.m. Your beloved family dog walks in the room, whines, and drops dead. All are distraught, tears, hugs, except for dad. Dad has to carry a dead dog out of the car in the middle of the night, go to the 24-hour vet to have the body handled, do it, and do it dry-eyed because no one else is gonna. Dad is the last man standing when crap goes south every time. That's what dad is supposed to do, but yeah, the bar is very, very high. That's what you're supposed to do as a husband and as a man, as a father. But that is one example. That is one example. We can go on forever about that. And perhaps that would make for a good video sometime, guys. Like the bar thing drove me nuts. Nuts. Like, do you know how easy it is to get a boyfriend? One that'll love you and treat you properly forever. All you have to do is say, hey, I'm looking for a boyfriend. I'll take anybody. You'll have the entire mall lined up, wherever, depending where you do it, man. It's so true. I wish to live in a world where women who think these things are too embarrassed to say them out loud to anyone. We need to bring shame culture back, guys. We need to bring shame culture back. Because when stupid people say stupid things, they're met with brilliant. That's social media for you, though, just further damaging people. It's incredibly insane how all the women understand what she's talking about, but men just seem to not get it. The male brain isn't... Did we just look at this one? Yeah, this is a repeat tweet. Sorry about that, guys. We have two of the same tweet. It's almost guaranteed that if he did more of the load, she would still find something to complain about. Example, you're not doing the dishes right, that's not how you sweep the floor, etc. She can divorce him, then go work and do it 100% of the duties in her own home. I guess she can hire someone to do the yard work and the home maintenance. A more appreciative woman can scoop up the good man that she threw away. FYI, raising the kids, cooking, cleaning, and laundry is the easiest part of adulthood, especially when there is peace in your home. Yeah, the easiest, most relaxing days I've ever had personally is hanging out with my dog and my baby all day. Like if my wife has is very, very involved with her family. So there are days where she just takes off and I'm like, go do what you want. Go watch your movie. You know, like her family's like real tight and that, you know, good relationship with her dad. That's why she ended up being perfect, right? But she's very involved with her family. So she wants to like go for some drives with her dad and go watch movies. Like every once in a while we'll have a day where it's like, yeah, I'll take the kid and the dog. I don't care. We all have a great time, you know? It is peace. It's peaceful. It's peaceful. I enjoy it personally. It's just a lot of people really make it difficult for themselves, man. This right here is why social media is so destructive for women. Like she said, on paper, she had the perfect husband. I guarantee you that she started to get frustrated after seeing one video of a woman talking about how they divorce men for not doing enough. We got some banger replies today, guys. I know this because here she is making a video for millions of people to see, talk her down about her husband for the smallest crap. Social media rots women's brains, and I will argue social media doesn't rot just women's brains, but men's brains as well. Social media is not good for anybody. They can have the best life, and they will still find ways to, you know, moan and complain and feel like they deserve so much better. It comes from interactions and a lot of... If you happen to be a girl and you managed to watch this video this far along and just didn't hate me for whatever reason, you know, if you happen to be a girl watching it this far, your friends might be the problem. Social media might be the problem, you know? Or most likely is the problem. 100% is the problem. It's you know, it wraps your mind and it damages men just in different ways. I would argue mostly the adult content, but of course we talk about that at great lengths on the channel. I'm not going to get into that whole thing. I didn't watch this, but I'll assume the quote is accurate. Not having to ask. Ladies, get over yourselves. Relationships require communication. This is a gross attitude. Anybody with common sense can see that. And I can't believe that there are people like that one tweet that we took a look at, guys. Like, it's met with brilliant. I can't believe, and if anybody's watching this video, if it happens to get clipped one day, I wholeheartedly expect to be one of the biggest YouTubers one day. I know I'm going to get clipped for something that I said in this video, and then I'm going to get absolutely trashed where it's like, of course he doesn't understand. No, we are completely accurate in this. It is asking to have your mind read. That is a major problem in relationships. Not having to ask. You hear that a lot. Not having to ask. What a load of crap. Ask. Communicate like a grown adult needs to. What are you start a family, you're going to get married and have kids, you're going to own a house and not have communication skills? That's a big reason why marriage has been falling apart today. But the conversation about marriage, relationships doesn't have to end there because we did continue it in this video and it popped off on the channel, guys. Best video on the channel so far, and I would love to have you guys over watching this video. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Take care.